Carl here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for sure. And it's 31 days of Halloween. The end is in sight. Still taking those nostalgia goggles off though, and reliving childhood horror. This is a really interesting one because unlike any other film on this list, I am 99% sure I only ever saw this movie once as a youngster and now once as an adult. And there's a reason why. And it's simply this. When it came to writing this list, I got to a point where I think I got to maybe 27 and I was like, I need 4 more. And I had to stop and I had to start thinking about it. So I started to theme my thoughts and I was like, okay, well, go down some zombie movies. Okay, this is what I've got. Yep, no, okay, this one jumps out. Go down some this, whatever. And then it was like, go down some paranormal ghost stuff. And then you're jumping into stuff that I didn't watch when I was younger. I watched older and I'm like, okay, that's where Poltergeist came into it and stuff like that. And then this one jumped out. And initially I put this in with a question mark. Because I was like, you only don't think you watched this one a lot when you were younger. So there's no particular reason why it stands out. But it kept coming back up with one overriding thought. And it was the word disturbing. And that's what I kept coming back to. And I think that's why I've decided to include it. Because even though I only saw this once, it left me disturbed. And it was something that carried over to me. That when I decided it was going to be part of this list. And I said, re-watch it. I remember immediately feeling uncomfortable about the idea of re-watching it. And having seen it again, I understand why. In particular, as a child, I would have felt that way. As an adult, I'm able to, of course, detach myself and sit back and stuff like that. And as an adult, read and understand the true story a little bit, way more than I would have done as a child. In fact, other than seeing a title card based on a true story or inspired by a true story, I don't think I would have known anything about the true story as a child. As an adult, I've done a lot of reading up about it and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into whether or not I believe or not. Well, the answer is I don't, because I don't believe in ghosts and spirits and entities and stuff like that at all. But that doesn't mean it's not a convincing story nonetheless, and it's still very, very interesting. But how that translates into a movie, that's fascinating. This left me disturbed as a child because of how its content is. This is my first experience, for sure, of the idea of a spirit or ghost that could sexually assault you, could rape you, could be that invasive and horrible. I would have seen this after Poltergeist, I'm pretty sure about that. And yeah, the tone is very, very different. And just one scene stood out, and it's where the kids come home to find her naked, being held down in a bed, you know, in fear, while this thing is on top of her. Like, God almighty, how horrifying is that? It generally is disturbing. And as a child, just that content and the concept behind it was enough to disturb me. As an adult, how it's acted, how it's performed, and still even that general concept is disturbing. It still exists, it still works. Incredible. Like, incredible. I'm blown away by the tone of a movie and the idea behind it having such power that as a child, one time only watch it could have that effect on me, and as an adult, the second watch, not only did I go in remembering those vibes, but I immediately felt them and was with them right to the very end. To the point where, like, the ending of the movie, you know, just that breeze. Like, I was like, please, God, please, come on, man, no, leave them alone, leave her, all these things. That's not how I'm feeling about this movie, that I don't actually think is that good of a film overall. I think it's really dull. I think that's its problem. I think it's really, really dull and really, really slow. However, what it does around that is create a shit ton of atmosphere that I'm sure as a child I certainly would not have appreciated. And it's mainly just the idea of someone being attacked and sexually assaulted and raped by an entity, an unseen ghost and being. The idea that it could even do that or would have the ability to do that was terrifying. That's all I needed to remember. As an adult, I'm watching and I'm thinking, okay, it's slow. It's not always the most interesting, but there is an attempt and it's strong to build up a lot of atmosphere. And I was feeling it and I was enjoying that side of things. Plus, of course, the characters and all of that. So as an adult, I think I certainly appreciate it more. But I'm unsure if I'd like it any more or any less than I did as a child. I don't really have an opinion on that, even from the childhood side of things. Across this series, I've been able to go, okay, my childhood loved this, or my childhood self hated this, or did whatever, and so on. In this, I just keep coming at the same thing. This film disturbed me as a child. That's all I've got. But as an adult, it also does that. It still has that effect on me. And I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. That's the simple fact of it. It is a unique entry on this list. It really is, even though it comes from the paranormal world. And I'd be very interested to hear someone else's opinion on this, what they got from it. I do think it's not that great of a movie in the set, or as far as a movie goes. In that it's slow, it's not always the most interesting, it's a bit dull here in places there. And it kind of just peters out as well, if I'm being honest there too. But it's left its mark on me again. You know, this is quite a recent watch for me, and I've definitely been letting it sit in my head and thinking about it a little bit too much. So I'm going to see this talking to the camera and doing this video as my way of exercising this particular demon. It is The Entity. What do you reckon? You got any thoughts on this one? You know what to do. Comments, please. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.